welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who has been taking performance-enhancing drugs for well over 2 years to prepare himself for this podcast. It's Chris Kelly.
Hello, everyone.
Well, you're like Charlie Sheen for this movie. Charlie Sheen was juicing.
Yeah, I read
to
about
pitch.
that.
Even though he really didn't have to.
Yeah, he was apparently a baseball player.
Yeah, he was, yeah. And then he also got, I was reading an article on Sports Illustrated, so he got offered big college scholarships. And then he went to a training camp to be sponsored, and then he realized he wasn't like one of the best pitchers around, so he decided to get into acting. But the dude really pitches in this movie, which is pretty amazing.
Apparently he could pitch like an 80 or 85 mile per hour ball, but they made it seem like it was like 100 or something.
Well, in the 80s, they would just move him closer.
Yeah, they put the mound about 10 feet closer. But I mean, that's still pretty impressive as far as, I mean, I'm not really into baseball that much, but I think that's pretty impressive, by the way.
So I was watching him pitch, and it's just really refreshing watching a guy who can actually pitch in this movie. And I think that adds a lot to the authenticity of it. And did you know the guy, Ed Harris, the other pitcher? Played by, Chelsea Ross?
Yeah, good old Chelsea Ross, man. That guy was amazing actor.
So he was 45 in this movie, but he played in college. So he was actually a college ball. And I love that he just threw junk. And I love that he loaded himself up with Vaseline and snot.
He was like, he was the character that he was supposed to be, like, mimicking, or they were like, because each one of these characters was, like a reference to a real,
like a hybrid.
It was like a real baseball player, and it was Gaylord Perry was apparently the real baseball player who used to actually do that. And he had like the Vaseline on the arm, like the baby powder over here. It's like, holy shit! Like,
he just threw junk.
He really like put it all over. He's like, well, that way the umpires can't see it. It's like, wow.
And if the umpire's on you, I put a chili pepper in my nose and I get a ton of snot. And I think my favorite line in this movie is the way. I love Charlie Sheen's line delivery because it's very dry. Remember in Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Like, what are you here for? Drugs. And just very dry. And I love how he goes, you put snot on the ball? Like, I didn't do that justice, but he's like, yeah, man, I can't throw in the 90s. Like, I throw junk. And I guess he could strike out Serrano.
Yeah, well, then his bat was also scared of the ball, so.
So, in the commentary, the character of what Chelsea's character, let me pull up his name again.
Chelsea Ross's character is Eddie Harris.
Eddie Harris. In the original script, he was much more religious, but everyone just got sick of it, so they really toned him down.
I mean, yeah.
So he has some bits, which, would probably happen in a locker room in the late 80s.
Well, yeah, there was also, the script was originally written in 1982, so he may have just had a reference to the times before that. But I did a little bit of reading on it. And apparently,
where'd you get 82?
That was on IMDb. Because he originally wrote it in 82.
I read art. He said he started writing it in 84.
Wow.
Fist fight!
What? Looks like the internet's wrong again.
IMDb? What? IMD? Yuck.
I got IMDF.
Where are these fact sheets coming from? I gotta realibrate every podcast we've done.
I know, I read that on
when
IMDb.
You said that Strangers Pray at Night was directed by Orson Welles. I need to go analyze
I'm going to fact check a little
Chris
bit on
Kelly!
The D.W. Griffith did not do Election. You, sir, have been lying to me about saying Henry Ford.
Did Mighty Morphin Power Rangers actually win an Oscar?
Based on a true story. What in the hell?
I love those movies that are inspired by a true story. So,
yeah, they're great.
So, Chris, you and I are watching, you and I are sitting there and we see a duck flying. And then we're like, this movie inspires us to write a serial killer movie. And then we would have to say, inspired by a duck.
I was stuck in traffic, and that caused me to write One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, inspired by a true story. Like, what was it? Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the remake was pitched as, I used to have the poster of that hanging in my wall as a kid, and it said, inspired by a true story. It's like, well.
Ed Gein.
Yeah. That's kind of a stretch, but yeah, Psycho was also inspired by. There was a lot of different movies inspired. Yeah, he was quite the character.
Wisconsin.
Was it Wisconsin? I can't remember.
Was he? Or Texas? Yeah. Well, according to your stats, he's from Honolulu.
He was from Idaho. He was a potato farmer that, when things dried up I
ran out of potatoes. I'm living in the Dust Bowl in the 30s. I need to eat people.
Don Knotts presents Ed Gein. What happened to my potato?
I'm going to start eating people.
I played that clip from The Simpsons when I was working on a movie. It was like whenever Don Knotts when they did oh shit.
That movie?
That was
oh shit. Isn't that
Who Shot Oh Shit? It was an Irish film.
Oh,
Who Shot Oh Shit?
Oh man.
The Simpsons, when they did Eddie Griffith, and they would do like there was like actors that were then swapped out for other actors. Remember they used to do this in the 70s.
Charlie Oh Shit.
Charlie Oh Shit strikes back in
CHITT.
Oh Shit in the Toilet Bowl Murderers. Sounds like a great murder punk band. Yeah. Whenever they would do like General Hospital, and then tonight's episode will be portrayed by whatever actor, but they Charles Bronson replaced Andy Griffith in the Andy Griffith show. Like Don Knotts comes walking in, I was like, oh, what happened to the town drunk? He's like, I shot him. He's like, now I'm headed to Emmett's Fix-It shop to fix Emmett.
Bronson.
Charles Bronson. Just putting Charles Bronson in any like family oriented show would just
murder everybody. The friends would be dead.
Imagine Charles Bronson in Seinfeld.
And She's All That. He plays Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character.
Like, why are you complaining all the time? You got all that. Bam.
What's the deal with gun holes? Or what's the deal with bullet wounds? They believe it so much. Like his opening stand-up. I shot a guy yesterday. Laugh.
How come no one's laughing? I don't get it.
People laugh at that. Pow, 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 pow.
Pulls out his 6-shooter, shoots off 7 rounds. How does he do it?
What's the deal? What's the deal with...
What is the deal with 6-shooters and their 12 rounds?
And lampshades. Did he actually ever say lampshades, Jerry Seinfeld?
I don't remember him saying that. I don't even remember him talking about airline peanuts, but that was always like the joke of like, he would always go, what is the deal with airline peanuts? They give you 4 nuts. And it's like, what? I don't remember that ever being said.
Is that a joke or an observation?
Yeah. Or when he does in Seinfeld, he says, Ovaltine. You shouldn't call it Ovaltine because the canister comes in is round, the cup is round, roundtine.
Wait, that's a real thing?
That was a joke that he wrote for the guy on in the show. He's like, that's gold, Jerry, gold. Like,
all right, so when did you first watch Major League? Because you pitched this to me.
I first saw this actually when it was on USA
3 weeks ago.
It was a brisk 2 weeks ago when I had a break from work. And
you were inspired.
I was originally saying Major League Baseball. We should watch that.
Just a game?
Yeah, remember I got those Braves tickets and you're like, no, I'm going to be in Colorado. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Charlie O shit strikes again. I originally saw this, I think I was in 4th grade and it was on USA, and I just, I thought it was so funny, of course, because I was in 4th grade, and it was like when it was freshly on TV, I think at that point, because it came out in 89. I was in 4th grade in 1994, so it would have been like 93, 94-ish time whenever I had seen this. But yeah, I remember seeing it and I thought it was so funny. I remember recording it and then showing it to other 4th graders and 5th graders, being like, this movie's so funny.
It's a perfect 4th, 5th grade movie.
And then I saw it uncut, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was a completely different movie.
Totally. Because you know what's interesting?
There's a lot of swearing that they took out for the TV version.
The studio was kind of annoyed at the director, David Ward, for having so much profanity. But he kind of said, when people talk about baseball in the locker room, when people talk, he's like, I didn't plan on there being that much profanity, but there is. And I think that's why it's done so well. There's certain moments I feel authentic. I was reading an article about The Ringer, and they did bring up a weird thing. Watching it again, that's The Ringer, the website. They wrote about it being like the perfect baseball movie, because Cleveland, for a while, the Cavaliers won. Stipe Miocic won the heavyweight title. He was from Ohio, Cleveland. So, but they were saying, they did right though. It's weird that Tom Berenger keeps breaking into homes and everyone thinks it's normal.
When I watched
that's creepy.
When I watched it again, I showed it to my girlfriend and she was like, he just shows up.
It's weird.
And she's like, he's just showing up to people's houses. And it's like, especially the scene where he's going to visit, Oh gosh,
he just follows her home.
It's really weird. And he walks into her, the woman that he's in love with,
Rene Russo.
Yeah. Rene Russo's character, Lynn Wells, and he goes to her boyfriend's place, and it's obviously like a very like upper class area because he has an elevator that goes to his apartment. And it's like the elevator opens up and out he comes, and it's like, wait, what?
Everyone's totally fine with it. I'd scream,
what are you doing in my house?
And then he creeps into her house later. It's like, is this your house? It's like,
I never caught that, I guess.
Well, you're a kid, you
when you're
think about it, yeah.
Exactly.
But you watch it now, and then in this movie, the whole time, she's like, you cheated on me with the stewardess. He's like, well, she said she had a better body than you.
I had to defend your honor.
And then she's
that's
like,
bullshit. I had a way better body than she did. And he's like...
And then they go, and then there's another part where she's like, we had a surprise party for you, and someone showed up with a paternity suit. He's like, that was a hoax. I didn't get her pregnant. He's like, but you slept with her. And he's like, well, yeah. So
there's not a whole lot.
He was terrible to her.
He's not, even if you wanted to like paint him as being kind of like a macho man, that's not very like tough or macho-y. That's very jerky.
One thing I do like though is they kind of, the life on the road. Like Dorn later on has an affair. Like they don't sugarcoat any of that stuff with baseball. And I'm sure that's happened.
Oh, yeah,
like in the major leagues, like, in basketball and baseball, you hear all the time about someone's spouse, like, texting another teammate's player and all that kind of stuff. So I guess it's good that they don't, but it's just kind of weird. I like the Tom Berenger dealing with the team. I liked him getting the fried chicken. I liked him talking smack, using, like, his veteran savvy. I liked him a lot in that. But it was weird seeing him just break into people's houses and have that be charming. And then he totally writes her off. She builds this amazing, like, library. Like, that library's booming, dude.
Yeah, that's a gorgeous thing that she did. And he's just kind of like, oh, you're still into books. And then he reads the comic book version of Moby Dick. It's like, he's very, like, backhandedly being nice or, I guess, somewhat polite. But it's like, I didn't really like it. It's like, why would you be my mentor?
Yeah. He's a good ball player.
Dynamite ball player.
So not probably not life coach, but more like... He does give good advice when he says don't cheer because other people are losing it. So he gives good ball playing advice. Remember he said you got 100... Like, so maybe you listen to him on that, but everything in his life is just a mess. But I think that's pretty interesting because, I mean, if you're not put together originally and then you travel to 162 games and then your knees go bad, I guess you're going to become kind of...
You're going to be kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Like, listen up, kid.
But so I was reading on the DVD, they have a behind the scenes video where baseball players talk about the movie. And some big names love it. They talk about all the, like the junk ball, the pitching, the guys who are fast but they want to hit. Like that's all. That David Ward, you probably read this, the director, he loved Indians baseball.
Yeah.
And he had won an Oscar for writing The Sting. He won it at 29, dude. 29 years old, he won an Oscar.
That's some serious bragging rights. Yeah. My God.
And then this movie only cost $11 million. So, it made $100 million, which I checked up and, counting for inflation, that's about $200 million in the States. Yeah. So that movie comes out right now, it would make $200 million. That's insane.
That's a lot of money.
And then it only had an $11 million budget, which we could translate to maybe, $22 million. That's a nothing budget right there. That's like the snot coverage for an Avengers movie. That's like the tissue coverage for everyone's
spend more money on boxed water.
Yeah. Hey, it's the best. I tried boxed water.
It tastes like water.
Yeah.
I don't get
water
it.
From a box.
Yeah.
I mean,
but it costs $2. And like, what?
The best don't they call it the best water on the planet?
Yeah, it's like real water comes from a box or something like that. And you're like, what?
I thought it came from the earth. Wait
a minute.
Wait.
You mean to tell me the internet lied to me again?
Chris Kelly, you're wrong. So wait, it comes from what? Rain, evaporation, like the earth, springs.
Yeah, like I'm going on a trip this weekend, and we're in
a box.
In a box, it's
a box car.
Budget cuts hit everybody, Mark.
Yeah, we're going on a train box car.
We cut a hole in a box, and they're just going to go. We're driving.
You're just walking.
Can't even afford to walk anymore.
Like that DP.
Well, we going up to Springer Mountain, and they have natural springs up there, so we just collect the water.
It comes from boxes.
Yeah, it's really really not cost efficient at all, but help. I mean, when you're hydrated, you're hydrated.
Listen, how do you transport boxed water? Because we have our own. I have my own bottle of water. I have my very pretentious one with all my stickers on it. But I could never just travel with a box of water. That'd be terrifying. It would just break everywhere.
Man, that's bullshit. I saw your Instagram. You had like 3 box waters.
Juggling them.
Or jumping over a slightly bigger box onto a smaller box.
I have a jump rope made entirely of box waters. I was double dutching.